From selling off high school girls' used belongings to being one of the most recognized and loved idols in Japan. Stay tuned for one of the most unique stories of success. In this episode, we're going to talk about Senritsu Kanano. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files. Senritsu Kanano is one of the most recognized faces within the idol scene and is even well known nationwide, making regular appearances on TV. She is well loved by the younger demographic and has put out some amazing music, establishing herself as a well-respected artist. But you might have never guessed the insane ride that Kanano has actually been through to get to this point. Kanano's mother and father divorced around the time she was just 6 years old. Living with her mother and younger sister, she and her sister would end up being subjected to neglect from her mother, who would often not come back for days at a time. Kanano said that her mother would even go abroad on trips with her boyfriend, not coming back sometimes for a whole week. After eating everything that was in the fridge, there were even times that they had to survive on just water for the last few days before her mother returned. When she did come back though, her mother would be violently abusive, punching and kicking them. But then, perhaps because she calmed down and realized what she had done, would then hug and kiss them. Despite neglecting them, her mother was weirdly strict, telling them that they had to study, and even sometimes suddenly becoming hysterical if she felt that somehow they were different from other kids, complaining that something was wrong with them. You'd think that by neglecting her kids by not coming home, that the mother didn't have any interest in them, but it seems that wasn't the case. Kanano describes her mother as being sometimes unstable, and that it was up to her to support her mother. As you can imagine, in that kind of environment of extremes, the mental toll on both her and her little sister was pretty heavy. Her sister even says that she isn't able to remember anything up until she graduated middle school. No doubt a result of childhood trauma she suffered, causing her memory loss. Unfortunately, it wasn't just abuse at home that Kanano had to deal with, as she was also bullied at school, having wet sponges being thrown at her and pieces of paper with nasty things written about her being passed around during class. Feeling that she had no place at home or at school, whenever she was alone, Kanano would start to cry, but would never show those tears in front of others because she didn't want to be seen as being weak. Kanano has even mentioned that during her middle school years, she did in fact try to take her own life. Also, unlike her sister, Kanano ended up going down a more dangerous path. Determined to change things at home, once she entered middle school, Kanano decided that she had to get involved in some illegal activity in order to earn money, since she was too young to do any legal part-time jobs. Of her early memories of her mother and father being together, the one thing that Kanano always recalls is them fighting over money. She said that her mother would even be violent towards her father. This meant that from a very young age, she developed the idea that money was everything, and because of that, she believed the reason her mother was violent was because she didn't have money. She thought that if her mother just had money, she would be nice. No matter what, Kanano was going to make money to change her crappy situation. Now, here's something that kind of blew my mind. Kanano decided to steal, and by steal, we're not talking robbing someone, but taking up a part-time job where she would get paid to shoplift. Yes, you heard that right. Kanano found a part-time job on the internet that targeted school kids, asking them to shoplift for money. Apparently the ones who were running the operation were university students, and they were even using kids that were still in elementary school. You would be part of a group of young shoplifters and get paid based on the type of item you shoplifted and or the amount. At first, Kanano thought this was a pretty sweet deal. She could finally start earning money, leading to a chance of her changing her abusive home environment. Apparently, she would take the money she earned from this part-time job and slip it into her mother's purse. But as time went on and she started to see members of the group who were her friends get taken away by the police, she started to get scared and even thought about quitting. Quitting, though, was not a choice for Kanano. Once you were in, there was actually no way the group were going to let you leave. But one day, as Kanano was leaving a shop after doing the deed, she was stopped by two female Manbiki G-men. Manbiki G-men would generally be translated as loss prevention officers. They did take her to the police, but she was issued just a warning since she was still a minor. But that didn't stop Kanano. In fact, she would do the complete opposite, escalating things to a whole new level. Once she entered high school, she made the decision to run an operation herself. Instead of being used by university students, she would become the leader. It wasn't shoplifting though, it would be something completely different. She ran a business where she would sell the used stockings that were worn by high school girls. She would do this by buying stockings from the 100 yen shop, so really cheap stockings, and have high school girls wear them, and then have them go meet the customer that would have picked that JK, aka high school girl, and have them hand over the stockings for 8,000 yen. She would then keep 50% of that amount as her fee. It's pretty scary to think that at that age, she already knew there was such a market. Now, you might think, wait a minute, if she was in high school, maybe she would have been old enough to start a legal part-time job instead of doing that thing. But for Kanano, she believed she could earn more money doing this kind of business. After all she's been through, the allure of money was just too strong. And to be honest, her business was pretty damn successful. Some months, she said she would earn as much as $20,000. Remember, this is from selling high school girls used stockings. But Kanano would be taken in by the police a number of times, even being temporarily taken in by child services. With Kanano not stopping her illegal activities, and with things at home also being what they were, the decision was finally made to send Kanano to a juvenile training school, also known as a youth detention center. The aim of these institutions is to help juveniles reintegrate back into society through support and correctional education programs. It's also used as a method of intervention for situations such as Kanano's, where young adults are judged to require time and physical space away from their parents. Now, when you hear about this kind of institution, especially in Japan, you might imagine it being someplace like a prison, someplace that would be strict and completely robbing you of all your freedom. But according to Kanano, it wasn't exactly like that. She described it as more of a school filled with young adults, many of whom weren't able to read or write properly. For one reason or another, they were deprived of a real education. The teachers were also gentle, speaking as if they were talking to elementary kids, instructing them on the very basics of an ordinary life. However, one thing that the institute was very strict on was members speaking with each other. Although you would share a room with other juveniles placed there, you would be sent to a special detention area if you were to say something to another member. Kanano was in the juvenile training school for 2 years. This was actually the maximum amount of time you were allowed to be in there for. The time to usually complete a program is 10 months. During her time there as part of her program, Kanano was forced to write a short essay 3 times a day of her thoughts and feelings, each essay being based on a different subject. This was used as a method to help those placed in the institution to reflect on what they had done and themselves. Why did things turn out this way? Thoughts about her family, her friends, the weakness inside of her. With all that had happened to her and not being able to easily put her feelings into words, this was an especially difficult exercise for Kanano, trying to look at all the events that led up to this point from a more objective perspective. Kanano would spend hours just thinking, really struggling to write anything. She would even read dictionaries and put down what was written in them. But she would also have access to other books and ended up doing reviews of them. Miraculously, through this exercise, Kanano developed the desire to put down what she was thinking into words. She also started to feel the need to talk about herself to others, expressing what she truly felt. Writing started to become therapy for Kanano. She also talked about the kind teachers there that would listen to her, especially one that wouldn't rush to sound the alarm bell whenever she got angry. As you can imagine, being at the juvenile training school for 2 years was not easy for Kanano, and she went through a lot of things during that time. Even though she never wishes to go back there, she is grateful, saying it was thanks to that institution that she was able to understand more about herself and the actions that led her to being there, and that without having gone through those 2 years, she might have never been able to change. I'm certainly happy that she was able to get herself out of that vicious cycle. After leaving the institution, having felt like she had to make up for those 2 years she lost, Kanano was very active. She started working at a pharmacy, but after being scouted by an idol agency for a dance video she posted on Twitter, she quit the pharmacy after a few months to become a member of a Chika Idoru group. Chika Idoru, also known as Indies Idoru or Live Idoru, are essentially idol groups that focus on live performances and tend to have smaller, more niche fan bases. From when she was in elementary school, Kanano was a very big fan of AKB48, who at that time were the most famous idol group in the whole of Japan. AKB48 also inspired her, making her wish that one day she too could become an idol, something she thought about a lot during her time in the juvenile training school. So this for her was like a dream come true. In February 2017, she became a member of No Puran, a very niche idol group. No Puran's theme was about individuality, going with the current times and running on that theme, not having a set out plan. However, during those 2 years in the juvenile training school, Kanano managed to get her high school graduation certificate and apparently made the decision to enter university, something that her mother also wanted her to do. After 3 months of being in No Puran, she decided to quit in order to take the university entrance exam. She managed to pass and entered university to study law. Not only that, but during the university, Kanano set up her own non-profit organization called BAE through a very successful crowdfunding campaign. As you might have guessed, BAE's mission is to help stop child abuse. But it doesn't stop there. Kanano actually never abandoned her dream to become an idol. In September 2018, Kanano became a starting member of the infamous idol group ZOC. Standing for Zone of Control, ZOC was started by singer-songwriter Omori Seiko, who was a member of the group as well as its producer. Omori Seiko, or Seiko Omori, is someone I can cover in a different video if people want, but she is considered to be one of the early pioneers of the anti-idol and alternative idol scenes. And just when you think she was done, the next month, Kanano would form her very own idol duo with none other than her little sister, named Femme Fatale. Man, she was busy. By the way, Femme Fatale put out some amazing bangers and are very well known among idol lovers in Japan. However, things didn't end up going very well for Kanano in ZOC for reasons I won't get into here, and she ended up leaving the group in 2020. Kanano would still venture into different idol routes while doing Femme Fatale, including doing her own solo stuff and even forming another duo idol group with fellow former ZOC member Kashi Kati, named Akuma no Kiss. But as suspected, it seems Kanano was pushing herself just a little too much, as on January 20th of this year 2024, she announced on her Instagram account that she was temporarily suspending all her activities until she was back to being healthy. I hope she's doing well and comes back when she's feeling better. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I did know about Senritsu Kanano for a while now. I do watch some of the programs that she has been on, but I had no idea about her story. I had absolutely no idea of all the things that she'd been through. And honestly, just finding out all this stuff, she really inspired me. And now I'm a fan of her for sure. Thank you again to whoever suggested her. And if you do have a suggestion of your own, please let me know in the comments below. And by the way, oh my god, it was just like a month ago that I was talking about hitting the 1,000 sub mark. I now have over 4,000 subs. Oh my god. Thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Anyway, until next time, thank you again, guys. Take care. Bye.